Welcome back.
Yay!
Yay to another episode of Lotus Tea Talks, where we shed our unique lights on current events, blooming conversations, and elevating girl talk. I am one of your hosts, Amika Ma'at.
Yes, and I'm Aziza Afi.
And I'm Chinya Ami. Yes.
Now let's sip this tea, ladies.
All right, let's get into it.
So, first and foremost, happy Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month. It is March. Whew, we are here.
Talk about it. I know. It's great. It's a great time to be alive. And yesterday was actually International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day to everybody
Yes.
as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we're going to get into our first segment, right? We're going to bloom, water, and weed.
Yes.
Just do our little check-in, let everyone know how we've been doing.
Right. Because it's been a little minute. We're in a new year.
Some things have developed since we've been on camera last.
It's change. Change is here. Change is the only thing that's consistent. So yes.
For sure. So who wants to go first?
Yes. Well, let's do it.
You're going to go first, Z?
Bloom, blossom, and weed.
Okay.
Y'all.
Sounds great.
All right. So what is blooming?
Yes.
What is
blossoming
blooming
for you, boo?
Blossoming? Okay, sure.
Bloom, blossom, all the same.
I'm just inspired by these blooms that we have in front of us. I'd say our set is blooming.
Yes, us.
Yes,
Thanks
us.
to Chi for bringing in the set pieces.
Yes, very beautiful.
Thank you. My room's cute, so I just was like, we're just going to take some of these things, bring it here. Yes.
Yes, be inspired. What else is blooming? I'd say just family, life, everything. Like, I really feel a full abundance of a bloom.
I love
it's kind
that.
of hard to pinpoint, but I've been really trying to have a more holistic blooming, experience where all of them are starting to flow together. All of the things that, you may work on a little bit here, a little bit there. Right now, I feel like, just a full bloom.
Everything.
I love that.
Everything.
Spring is coming in.
We love that. Yes.
So
it really does feel like everything is just coming to life.
It does feel like that. It really does.
Year, as well as I like to acknowledge it as the real new year. So,
Facts. Exactly.
Go ahead, continue, my friend.
Yeah. And then what's next? What is watering?
Honey.
What am I watering? I would just say I am watering the things that are going to bloom, long term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right? I am watering because, like we said, certain things are blossoming, certain things are in their full season, we're yielding, and right now I'm watering also behind the scenes and also, just little ways, like, for example, my plans just for the future. I don't, it's hard to say things. I'm the type of person, Chi has said this before, where it's like, when you talk about your plans, sometimes it's okay to just like leave it in fullness rather than just being like, specifically what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think my message more so in my reflection of what's being watered are continuing to water for long term. Even if the things right now in your life are blooming beautifully, and it's big and you feel full, it's like, remember to plant your seeds. Remember about the seeds that you have planted that you still are, wanting to see fruit.
For sure.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay. And what do you want to weed?
What do I want to weed? That's a good question. What do I want to weed out? Well, here's a great one. Right now, I am weeding out processed food. I'm actually in the process.
Detox.
Yes, I am in a whole
You look
juice
great.
detox. Thank you.
Yeah,
darling.
skin is definitely glowing.
Thanks. Yes. So right now, I am on my third day. You feel me? Drinking them juices.
Drink them
that
juice, girl.
Yes, lots
You
of
know what I'm
water.
saying?
So important.
So I'm really excited about it, and it feels good. And I'm really just weeding out processed food, like, being more intentional about eating whole foods.
Yes.
Giving my body a break from just overprocessed food. And I'm vegan. I am vegan.
Yes,
I'm
true.
plant-based. I am plant-based. It depends on
I love
honey.
the air quotations because
true.
it's so
It is,
funny.
but also,
It's so trendy, so now you have to add the air quotations.
Okay. Via the 90s, all right?
Vegan, original vegan.
So that you understand what I'm talking about, okay? I'm ital because it's vital, okay?
If you know, you
For
know.
real. If you know, you know. So, you know, that's my lifestyle. That's my liberty. That's how I, you know, nourish my body.
For sure.
At the same time, I love some chips. I love some French fries. I love some
Veggie burgers.
You know, a little plant-based sausage. You know, pasta.
We do.
You know,
balance. You know.
So that's why. And even though I eat, like, for example, chickpea protein pasta, it's still processed, right? So just
pasta.
Chill out.
That's good to know. I don't think some people recognize that although it's vegan doesn't necessarily mean it's not processed, doesn't mean it's not GMO, healthy, right? Or like Arata just said, doesn't even mean that it's healthy. So you really have to be even more intentional.
Exactly. But you know,
intentionality.
Exactly. Intentionality, and in your time, your weeding happens like in your own time.
Right.
You feel me? So for me,
it's your season.
I just felt like it. It was my season.
Good for you. And it's right in alignment with spring and making sure that we're starting the newness. So this is a great time to detox for anybody who doesn't know. Being in alignment with the seasons is great. Like whenever the seasons change, you want to try to implement some change within your life as well. So, you know, we love nature, as you can see.
Right.
So being in alignment with it is, to me, one of the best ways to stay in alignment with your own natural biorhythms, which is your body's natural cycle. So,
yes.
Awesome. You want to go next, Chi?
Yes. Okay, I'll go next. Yes. Okay, so blossoming. Like, I agree with Aziza. Just a lot of things are blossoming for me. Just, I would say like my confidence is blossoming more. You know, just like my internal guidance, like trusting my intuition, you know, because everything outside of yourself may not be telling you to do something. But if you can really follow like that quiet sound in your brain, I've just been learning to follow that. And that's just been beautiful for me. And it brings me such peace because, you know, as the girls know, as far as like when my family goes, I'm a lot of times that, what's that person that they call in the family that like, what's that person called? I just lost the word for it.
The Rock?
The Rock. The Rock is one of them, but, you know, The Rock. So, you know, I can get pulled in many different directions, but just maintaining that sense of like, okay, this is enough in that space, this is enough in that space, and keeping my eye on the prize, because ultimately, if I'm in the best space, that's the best space for my family, that's the best space for everybody. So I feel like that inner voice is blossoming for me, and just knowing, you know, just knowing that. So that's blossoming. What is the next one? Water. What am I watering? Just like my creativity even more, just watering, create the hustle, the creativity, balancing like, okay, how is the hustle gonna flow into the creativity, and, you know, and making kind of mending that. So I actually have a project that I'm working on right now, blending the two, that I'm really excited about. Awesome. And weeding, I had a great weed. Okay, it is something I'm weeding. Yes, I'm actually on a social media cleanse of my own making, because I can't leave social media altogether sometimes, because I do a lot of social media stuff, but just being like really cut and dry with it. Like if it's not me posting or being like active, just not like blindly scrolling. And it's so interesting because I started Monday because I knew this was a heavy week for me. So I started Monday. I was like, something has to give. And it's so crazy. Like as soon as you open it, it's just like, wow, this is really a toxic place. It's such a toxic place. I don't understand. So I've really been trying to get really intentional about that. And even like all the posts that I did do this week was all scheduled. So I didn't even have to go on there to do it. So it was cool. So I was like, okay, you know, it's getting good. But yes, ladies, that's my blossom weed and water.
Okay.
Yes. Wait, what was the word? I heard it. I heard
weeding out that that social media.
Social medias, but the water was, what did I say? I was what? The creativity and hustle, like, hustle, you know, combined.
Facts. Beautiful balance.
That's a beautiful balance
there. Yes.
Yeah, okay. For sure.
Well, I will go last but not least. Okay, so clearly some things have been blossoming for me personally. I have a whole baby inside of my stomach. Yes, it's so beautiful. It's such a blessing. I am truly grateful for it. Last time we were on camera, there was nothing in there, but food probably. So yes, we are having a baby boy this coming June. So that's super awesome. Very, very excited about just, becoming a mother in this new phase in my life, and just everything's about to change, but I'm still going to be quite fabulous.
That's never going to change.
Period. Okay. I will still be my fabulous self, and I'll have a little munchkin right next to me. So, watering. What am I watering in my life? I am watering my own entrepreneurial goals, because when this maternity leave is over, I am not going back to anybody's job, baby, because I must raise my child at home. I must be with my youth. Mm-hmm. And that is the truth.
That is the truth, them.
And yeah, quite frankly, that's always been a goal of mine. Mm-hmm. I've never desired to work for anybody else, honestly. It's never been in my family's nature either. Mm-hmm. My mother's an entrepreneur. My grandfather had his own medical practice. And so, it just runs within thine blood. If I can't be a stay-at-home wife, because that's also a goal.
Or both, a stay-at-home wife with her own business.
Period. Right. Exactly. Honestly, that is ultimately the true balance that I'm working towards, is definitely being able to just create my own schedule, live the life that I desire, have my 20 plus acres of land with my babies running around.
It's giving acres.
Going to tend to the horses and such, picking food from my garden, making some content.
You see the vision.
Teaching a dance class, doing some yoga, and saying goodnight. So that is definitely the goal that I am watering towards. And so what am I weeding out? I'm setting lots of healthy boundaries. So I'm weeding out. I'm weeding out people's foolishness, okay? And me having the desire to please people and not be disliked because I'm speaking my mind and letting people know how I feel. So, for example, with the pregnant stomach, people want to just come up to you and rub your stomach as if you are some sort of lucky Buddha.
So 80s, like,
and it's very weird. You didn't come just randomly touch me when I wasn't pregnant. So
ever.
Don't do it now. Don't do it now. And this is even more of like a sacred space. This is more of a very personal time.
Touch your own belly.
My butt bowl is bigger.
Like, just be like, wow, you're pregnant.
Oh my God, But literally, it's like, when you see a dog and it's really cute, you don't speak to the dog, you don't speak to the person, you speak straight to the dog. That's kind of how I feel right now. People are coming straight to my stomach. Oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm going to chop you in your hand. I will karate chop you. Okay. So it's become, a thing where I'm just letting people know that no, if you don't ask, don't touch. And if I say no, when you do ask, don't have hurt feelings. So that's just one of the examples of the healthy boundaries that I am setting in the business of weeding out people's personal just desires to implement their own energy on you. Mm-hmm. And I don't need that. I don't ever need it, but I definitely don't need it right now.
Right.
So, yeah. That's what I got going on.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. All interactions should be agreements.
Consensual.
You feel me? Consensual
Okay,
agreements.
people.
Like,
this is my personal body.
These are facts. Can I hug you?
Right. No, seriously. I appreciate when people ask if they can hug me. My own mother even asks if she can touch my stomach before she does it. And she helped make this body. So if the woman who helped make me can have that type of respect for boundaries, then everybody else can as well, period. Facts. Unless you're my man. Obviously, he just walks up to me and just...
This is my
baby in the belly.
Right,
He's super excited.
Yes.
So that is great. That's perfectly fine. Obviously, he's a part of this whole creation process as well, so...
And y'all are in a healthy space.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because if we were not in an actual relationship and we were going to be doing some co-parenting, then it would still be some, you better ask me.
Exactly.
Don't just touch me. But yeah, so that's where I'm at in my life.
Word.
Woo, woo.
Yay. Mm-hmm. Sounds like we're all
We're
doing
so
pretty
excited,
great.
the aunties.
Yes.
We are so excited.
They're doing a great job so far. It's just, I'm very grateful for you all.
Okay.
Super, super grateful. So let's dive into these topics, ladies, because we got quite a juicy topic in my opinion.
I think so too. I think so too.
And
two-step.
Yes, two-step. Take it back to the early 2000s.
I know, right?
So yeah, we're actually going to be starting to focus more so on our petals of life, if you will. The different segments that we really want to highlight and focus on in our conversations to make sure that you all are fully aware of what it is that we're talking about and mostly why we're talking about it. Because ultimately, anybody can talk about anything and have an opinion on something, but what is that opinion doing? How are you elevating the conversation, right? How are you causing people to be inspired with what you're
impacting the
saying?
culture,
Exactly.
changing the narrative,
Right.
So let's just jump right into it, okay?
Jump in.
Boom. What's the buzz? That's going to be our new segment that we're starting where we kind of bring ideas from pop culture, current events, and then we're going to elaborate and expound on those topics.
Yes.
So today we wanted to talk about this whole trending topic of Ciara and her new song For the Girls, where she's promoting independence and the whole you don't need a man narrative. And this has a lot of people upset because enraged, not saying that you shouldn't be independent and that you necessarily need a man, but this narrative coming from a woman like Ciara, who was a single mom, who found love, who is in a hypergamous relationship. Some people just aren't feeling that, and they feel like Ciara could be talking about so many different things. She could be talking about that quote unquote prayer that she had to receive her blessing. She could be talking about her life as this luxury woman living, give something for women to aspire to other than this beat down, run down, said over and over again narrative of independence, toxic independence, and, just this woman having to do everything by herself. And we've seen that play out over and over again. And although it is great to be independent, it's not necessarily healthy. It's not necessarily wanted by everyone and all women. So, yeah.
So I think it's important that we, of course, start with the great definition so that we are understanding what the collective agreement of this word is. I think always understanding what we're talking about is very important.
Yes,
so there are actually 4 definitions that came up for the word independent. First being free from outside control, not depending on another's authority. Second, not depending on another for livelihood or substance. Third, capable of thinking or acting for oneself. And fourth, not connected with another or with each other. Separate. So.
Okay. Let me see it.
Oh, yes. Here, go back.
Keep going with your idea.
So I think it's very interesting because like she was saying, a lot of those things have nothing to do with the life that Ciara currently is living or the life that most people are living, let alone women.
Or truly want to live.
Or want to live.
Right.
Right, exactly. Like, do you really want to be disconnected from people?
Right.
Do you really want to do everything by and for yourself? Like,
be separate.
Every single thing. Because that is, if we're speaking in a very literal sense, then you're literally supposed to be growing your food for yourself. You're supposed to be generating electricity for yourself. You're supposed to be fetching water for yourself.
Right.
You're supposed to be doing everything for yourself, independent of external sources. So that means you don't use the utility companies. You don't.
That's a very literal sense.
No,
that's a very literal sense.
Honestly, because if you really think about it, who is actually independent in this world that we live in, specifically in America? Of course, there are those people that are off grid.
But they're not independent if you're thinking about a holistic life as far as like you still need air, you still need
and we're
sunlight.
Not
like, you know what I'm saying? Like
molecules. That's
and they have communities. They still need their community. Exactly. Everybody can't be in the garden 24/7.
Exactly.
You know, like you. Go ahead, Caesar.
When you think about, like, for example, our petals, and you think about what you all are focusing on, even in the first definition, it talks about the environmental independence or your political independence, the independence from society, right?
Yeah.
That's the first definition. And at the end of the day, like, no, clearly that's not what's happening for most people.
Right.
Most people are living within a society that is, codependent or operating on some type of, interdependence of some sort like that, right? Okay, so then personally, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, are you completely independent from people?
No.
Never. It doesn't exist.
Unless you were like a monk who is hauled up in a silent retreat somewhere, meditating in a room by yourself. Even still, you're connecting with a higher source.
Right.
Not independent. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the closest I think you could possibly get to it. Like
Right.
your air, what is it? Doing an oxygen fast.
Exactly.
And you're only intaking air, not worrying about food or water and all of that. And it's a very extreme example, but ultimately to me, that's the only real sense of independence that a human could actually have on this planet.
Exactly. And then, of course, it says, for example, capable of thinking or acting for oneself.
So I think maybe that's what Sierra was leaning towards in a not so toxic, not so like if we're trying to think of her from like, trying to play devil's advocate, maybe that's what she really meant. You know what I'm saying? Like just being able to provide for yourself, not being overly dependent,
just thinking for yourself.
Thinking for yourself, free thinking. But why couldn't she said that?
Right.
And is that even okay? So I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
I love
again.
that.
It's
That's
like,
such a better song.
It is a much better song. Let's think for ourselves.
Second verse, C. Second verse.
I mean, see this year.
Right.
Bring
the song
it out.
hasn't come out
bring
yet.
that out.
Elevate
Right.
it.
Yeah, let's elevate it.
And we don't know. It may be in the lyrics because
Maybe.
ultimately the song hasn't come out yet.
Right.
It was like
Yeah.
a little snippet that she put out on social media. And of course, the little bit that she did put out caused the whole outrage.
Did it now?
It really did.
People were very much so not feeling it.
Right.
Of course, Twitter takes things and just morphs them into much more than they truly are, which is why I do not do the Twitter. But ultimately, it definitely turned into this whole controversy about, well, first of all, she's talking about a life that she herself does not live.
Like she explained.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And second of all, it's this narrative that unfortunately a lot of Black women are falling victim to, because we have had to in the past historically had to play this role of the man and the woman because of how our men were very much so emasculated and beat and stripped of their
systematically
sense
oppressed,
of their own
basically.
sense of
Exactly.
purpose. And so the women had to step up. We had to take charge and do a lot of things for ourselves, because a lot of times there weren't men in the home with us. So we did find ourselves playing both roles. And at the same time, that has had extremely detrimental effects on the Black family, on the woman's health, on her psyche, on just her being, because now she's had to operate in too much of her masculinity and not enough of her femininity. And it's just like children are being emotionally neglected. Yeah, they're being provided for. You had a roof over your head and everything, but mama wasn't there to give me a hug and to coddle me and to let me know everything's okay.
Right.
Because she was busy working.
Exactly. And I feel like we've all had our piece of that in a way. And so that's why I'm thinking like 2023, when are we going, okay, so cool. We see that Black women are independent. We can
for
be.
Sure.
When are we going to push the narrative to like, you see Sierra being this great mother to her kid. Well, this is just seeing, because we don't know. We're just seeing it. But like, when is that going to be the forefront of like, hey sis, it's okay to relax and chill and just like want to really be sweet and like raise your kids.
For
like,
sure.
I always bring things back to capitalism. I think it's really, really just a real capitalistic push to that. First of all, being that independent is a capitalist idea, because it takes away the social aspect, it takes away family, it takes away community. And
more people are working. So ultimately the economy is being fueled and circulated when you have both parents working.
Exactly. So...
Or even people independent and not married and paying taxes separately or doing things separately. There's more being circulated throughout the economy from this design. It's a social design.
Exactly.
So,
It is very much so capitalistically driven, for sure.
It has that remnant in it, for sure. That's like a byproduct of it.
Right.
There's a lot of different things that, stem from, like you said, from this weed growing, this weed of like this independent not being properly put in the context that's healthy for people, right? Which means it's healthy for you to have or be a free thinker.
Right.
It's healthy for you to have independence of thought so that you don't get caught up in group thought, like I'm independent and I don't need a man, or you don't get caught up in the idea of, because that's the thing. We can sense that there's something else to the song. It can be free thinking, as you see in the definition. It's possible that you could be referencing that. However, when you choose to write the lyrics where it literally demeans a partner, someone
then
else,
it says, I don't need a man. You don't need a man.
That's that lyric was not even necessary.
So unnecessary.
That lyric now takes it to what we're talking about in its toxic context. If it was in a healthy context, this would be a totally different conversation.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? We'd be praising that song. So it's just really interesting. Like, people have to take responsibility for what they're creating and what music they're putting out, because like y'all said, at the same time you're putting out the idea of, I have a husband, I have children, I have a family, I have a home. She's constantly doing videos with her children and with her home. And it's a little confusing when you look at children who are growing up watching you, even your own children, when they're listening to this dichotomy, these two opposing ideas of, you don't need a man but you were with daddy so you don't need daddy. I'm confused. Like, at the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, for real.
And on top of the children that are outside of your home, on top of the people that you're influencing by being on such a platform. Like, it's confusing. On top of, you spoke on the men having their or women being affected through that long, history of being in that position. But men are also affected through that long history of being in the position of constantly, like, the men who want to provide, want to come forward, want to, let you be at home and have your business.
Like they called her own husband.
But they call them simps. But at the same time, your heart is yearning for someone to love you that much. Exactly. Your heart is yearning to have a partner, yearning for you to be able to have someone to lean on, someone to grow with. You feel me? Like, all this nonsense. It's nonsense. And at the end of the day, they're affected because now they're like, you know what? Fine. Y'all are independent, fine. I'm gonna treat you that way. Exactly. Now you have people turning into these raw, rude beings, these toxic men, this toxic masculinity. But it's a shared, it's a shared responsibility. You feel me? And you can hear my voice, like, it's heightened. But that's the way I feel about it, because you constantly see it being perpetuated over and over and over again. It's like, y'all need to speak what you really want. Words sound power. Y'all need to do what you really want and say what you really want to see in this world. Because y'all don't really want to see that. Y'all don't really want to see a whole bunch of people independent from each other and not really caring about each other, not connected. Y'all don't want to see that.
We really don't. And go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say two things. Because first of all, interdependence is better for economics. You know what I'm saying? If you have multiple people coming in with income coming in, that's better for your community. That's better for everyone together. So then it pulls a notion like, okay, are you trying to gatekeep? Like, do you only, because you found a millionaire, you're a millionaire, together y'all probably worth almost $1 billion. So are you not, do you not want to spread the wealth, or do you want to push this notion and to the girls, because the song is called For the Girls, not for the women. I thought that was interesting, for the girls. So you're trying to push this messaging to our young women, to a new generation of women, that, okay, let's reiterate this independence. No, let's reiterate, the same thing that they've pushed to the woman, but the woman, us as the woman, we're saying, no, we've had enough of this. It's been enough messaging to the woman. It's time to teach the girls that, no, interdependence is important. Find someone that loves you, love someone, have connectivity, build together, grow together, and uplift your community. So
facts.
Yeah.
And at the same time, that notion of free thinking, if you truly want to do that, don't allow the narrative spinning around you to
Make you feel bad.
make you feel bad about that.
Right.
Like,
Because they love to.
you feel what I'm saying? Like when somebody's like, oh yeah, we're dating. Oh, he's a simp. Oh, you're lazy, or you're
my man. I think that's
my
so
man
crazy.
takes care of me. My man treats me right. Like even that young
Right.
lady that was talking about how Lil Uzi treats her right and takes care of everything. She's like, no, I stack my bread. I
JT,
save my money.
yeah.
Right. You know, I said that young lady, and I meant it too, because
lady.
at that
young
time
lady.
her femininity was like, bing.
Right.
She was like, yes, okay, and that's a good narrative to push. Now at the same time, I can go into her music and do that too. But that's not
No,
the
we
point.
can.
The point is,
Stop.
So, do you all think that you need a man or a partner to be happy?
Not like, I don't think it has like, it's not my holistic happiness. It's a part of my happiness. But yes, I absolutely feel like, and it's not even, the man is a part of being able to create a family. And I know that I want a family, and that having a family is going to make me happy. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a part of my happiness. And then more so than even making me happy, it's a responsibility I have to my community to re-educate, to grow, to continue a legacy, you know? So I think a lot of times in the society, we often focus so much on our happiness, making me happy, this me, I, you know, happiness is temporary, you know? So I think that if you're following what your eternal life is telling you to do, what your higher power is telling you to do, and that's consistent in procreation, that's consistent in nature, is abundance to fulfill, I think that'll lead you closer to happiness than trying to find like this temporary fix in happiness, you know? So, and I think having a man, having a family is a part of that. So,
for you,
For
right?
me.
Yeah.
So it's more so a difference between needing and wanting.
Exactly.
Like, for me, I do believe that, yes, I need and want.
I agree.
It's both for me. It's definitely dual. To piggyback off of what you said, that is a part of what will feed my happiness. That is what my life's vision involves, is having a partner who I can build with, who I can grow with. I don't plan on living this life alone. I wasn't born into a world in a vacuum to just talk to Arata and Arata only. Ultimately, I believe the contrast of the more dominant masculine energy to my feminine energy is what causes growth and ultimately creates the most ultimate balance. And,
Amen.
you know,
Speak
I
on
believe
it.
in the divine union. So
Speak on it.
if I can't fulfill all of those masculine needs for myself, that is not my purpose, and that is not something that I desire to grow towards by myself. So for me, it is definitely I want you and I need you.
Right.
Because like
This
Jill
probably
Scott
helps you
said,
grow, you know, become a better
Yeah.
person, like challenge you, like all those things. If you're just with yourself, gratifying
Yeah.
yourself, like that's so selfish in a way to
Yeah.
think that you
Iron
could.
sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens
yes,
iron.
exactly. So yeah, man.
What about you,
For
Z?
me,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
mean, y'all hit, you know, y'all said it,
We don't
you know,
miss.
y'all don't miss, you know, everything from, I agree. I feel like for me personally, in my free thinking, independent mind, body, and soul, you feel me? I need and want, meaning it's a necessity for my lifestyle, for my life. I want children, right?
Yeah.
I need children for me.
For you personally, for sure.
Right? Now, this is free thinking, people. This is independent thinking. And it still involves me wanting to have a partner to grow with, wanting to have someone to share that life with. For me, I'm attracted to the masculine. I have found that it does sharpen me in a different way. I've always grown up with female friends. I've never been one of those women who have been like, I don't like women, right?
Right.
As far as like, I don't have female friends.
Right.
But I know for sure that for my life, I want to build my family structure, you know, this triangle situation, right? With a masculine energy, with a man, with a natural born man, for me. I'm just being for real. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm being for real. That's me. I want that experience.
Right.
Now, my family structure also includes my auntie, sister, friends, my cousins, my family, my uncles, my brothers,
Right.
all of these relationships, all of these people, I do need them and I do want them.
Right.
It's not at all, and it does make me happy. It's scientifically proven that when you are in depression, when you are feeling depressed, you are not feeling well, when you surround yourself with love and good vibrations and good energy from people, you will feel better. Isolating yourself is not healthy for your mind,
No, humans
body,
are
spirit, or soul.
commune people.
Not
a baby can't survive by itself. That should show you.
all.
If you leave a baby, it's dead in 8 hours.
Right.
It's something crazy like 8 hours, 12 hours. It can't even survive. So we all have that inner child.
Right.
We all need that connectivity. I think if you don't get, I saw a statistic, it was talking about how Black women specifically don't get enough hugs every day. You're supposed to
need
get
at least
something
12.
like, exactly 12 hugs, and the average person's getting like 1 hug a day. So we need that connectivity, touching, loving. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's beautiful.
It's
It is,
beautiful.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would also say, like, what she was saying about, the our mindset of like ourselves. One of my favorite things about that word, and I always say this, is like our is OUR, which really means like all of us together. So even when you say ourselves, even though you're talking about all of these individuals, it's all together. You feel what I'm saying? And, I think that's important for people to remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. So, like, we did definitely talk about some healthy forms of independence, which would be just, free thinking and being able to act autonomously ultimately and not have to worry about the opinions of others or being externally influenced. Because unfortunately, back in the day, women were not necessarily allowed to do that. And in some societies, they still aren't necessarily able to do that, i.e. having their own bank accounts, i.e. traveling without having a male escort.
Right.
Owning property was a thing back in the day that we were not necessarily allowed to do. Voting, of course.
Or even having a family.
Right.
Yeah, if
Adopting
you weren't married, right, if you weren't married, you were considered a spinster by a certain age. So there has always been this emphasis put on the union, if you will, or more so the women's dependency on men. I wouldn't even necessarily say that the union, because it wasn't necessarily a healthy outlook on what women and men, that coexistence could look like. It was more so, no,
patriarchy.
You can't do this because you need me, or because I'm better at X, Y, and Z from the male's point of view. And so I think that is definitely where this extreme sense of independence has come from. We went from one end to another end of the spectrum. And that often happens.
That's a good reflection.
And so we want to try to find that happy medium.
Right.
Come to the middle, be centered in it, where we, like we are all saying, that we acknowledge that we have our own personal desires that still may align with this union.
Right.
And we also may have some things that we want to do outside of the union.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, understanding that everything we do has a cause and effect and is going to affect our community in one way or another. There is going to be some sort of energetic frequency that is emitted from the action, from the thought process, from the verbal communication that one individual might have that will, in fact, interfere with someone else's vibrational frequency. And so, therefore, even if you don't intend on affecting somebody else, you're going to. So, to that point, there is really no independence in this world, because ultimately you're going to be affecting or affected by somebody else.
Yeah. I would definitely say to that, like, of course, when it comes to the definition of just free thinking, of course, somebody may have an effect on you, but what you do with those thoughts, how you process that again is in your autonomy. That's in your sense of independence. So again, the context of it is very important. Like, of course, when you see that someone does not think about you in a union, in a unified way, meaning I know I affect you, I know you affect me, I'm going to be mindful of my thoughts, my actions, you know what I'm saying, my words, XYZ, you know, if you see them acting that way, then that's a positive union. If you see them not acting that way and that's a negative union and you're repelled from it and you choose to, you know, not interact, that's okay too. And that's your free thinking, that's your independence, and that's you being able to say, okay, you know, recognizing the type of union you deserve. Like, to depend on someone or a man, a woman, anybody too much to where it's toxic is what Arata is speaking on, you know? And that's not what we're alluding to at all. Like, that's not the goal.
Never the goal.
Here.
Yeah. And I think like both gender sexes need to take a little bit more responsibility in that narrative. Like, I think men, you know, who want healthy, beautiful relationships need to step up more too, and tell women that they can feel safe, and that they want them to feel free in that relationship, and they want them to feel, you know, nurtured, and that they can do what they want to do to make them happy in those safe spaces as well. I think that, you know, us as a community, we haven't been feeling safe with each other enough. We've been feeling like enemies. There's a whole movement right now to kind of break up, to what is it, the gender war. It's a whole war of putting genders apart. And, you know, we need each other to survive. We need each other to create. We need each other in this existence, on this field, on this earth, you know. So I think that it's time for just a healing of the genders together. Like, we can have independence together, you know, interdependence. And I think that it's just so important. Like, I think it's a call out to everyone to really make an effort. If you can make a small effort to make a man feel a little bit safer in spaces with you, to make women feel a little bit safer in spaces with you, it can shift a lot. Like, sometimes people just need that one person. So many people, you know, 1 in 3 women have been assaulted. I'm not sure the statistics on men, but I know it's super high of men being, you know, even molested and assaulted by a woman. So everybody's feeling very unsafe right now, you know, with each other. And I think that's where we're getting a lot of these toxic narratives coming from, you know. And I think that if we could just, you know, make everyone just feel a little bit more loved and a little bit more safe. I think a lot of people want that family and want that union, but they don't feel safe in those spaces because they've never seen it. They, you know, so I think,
they haven't seen it, and they haven't been taught how to actually interact in that space. So, you know, I also say, like, be patient with each other, and also give each other the opportunity to, you know, show you that they're present with you and that they can actually build a union with you and build a partnership with you, you know? Yeah. And, you know, you made me think of this, what was it? I forgot. Go ahead.
It's okay. It'll come back. It'll come back. Ultimately, I think the key to all of this is the appreciation for the masculine and the feminine principles, and understanding that, of course, men are going to be more dominantly masculine, women are going to be more dominantly feminine, and therefore there are strengths in both sides. And when we stop comparing and start appreciating, then we can find true balance. We can find the true power ultimately within the divine union, and making sure that you are starting with self, of course.
Absolutely.
Because this is, to me, a healthy form of independence, is learning how to love yourself first, and learning what it is that you truly love about yourself, and what it is that you truly desire in another person and in a partner, and where you may feel like you're lacking, and where you can find that balance in another person. And so, I feel like that's really where we need to start. And when we stop, like Chi was saying, this whole battle of the sexes, or of the genders, where we're constantly pitting men against women and vice versa, and we just really come into a space of acceptance and appreciation, then ultimately
it'll flow better.
So much better as humans.
And the idea that came to my mind was just about, you know, using safe words, like allowing people to know that even if they are dependent on you, like, for example, men who don't really cook and they need their wives to make them food, right? You don't want to make him feel like a dog, like, you can't eat until you want to do it in a way where it's a safe space.
Right. Or if your girl doesn't work and you provide for her.
Yes,
like,
you want to do it in a safe space. You don't want to make her feel like a child. You don't want to, talk down to her in that way. Like, all of these things mean something. They matter, and that's what makes people's hearts callous when you treat them that way.
It's a lack of respect.
It's important to I like to say, like, allow people to have their passions around you as well. Like, even if someone their passions are in alignment with yours, accept that, don't shame them, right? Yes. And still, have your autonomy and care about yourself, make sure you're good, but also care about them. Right. Allow them to have their passions, allow them happiness. You feel me? Like, why y'all trying to make people unhappy in these situations?
Right.
Yeah. Nobody wants that.
Yes. You made me think of something, because that's true, because like everybody's not going to get married. Everybody's not going to have children, but it doesn't mean that you don't have a space in the family. Like the family has aunties, the family has brothers, like it's a way you can express your femininity and your masculinity if maybe some people, without necessarily wanting like this traditional space. Like, it's plenty to love. Like, there's so many people, like I tell brothers all the time now that like just spend a lot of random time doing nothing but have a lot of money. I'm like, why don't you go mentor some boys? Like, you may not have a kid right now, you may not have a partner right now to spend this money on, but there's definitely some children, there's definitely ways to give back in a productive way that you can show love to somebody without that necessarily being your partner or your kid.
While you're still developing those skills of being in a union, being in a partnership, and actually forming community.
Absolutely.
For sure. So, I think that was very, very thoroughly articulated.
Thank you,
ladies. Yes, for sure. And so this has been another fabulous episode of Lotus Tea Talks, and we hope that you all have enjoyed sipping this here tea with us. We certainly have enjoyed pouring it and sharing it with you. So before we go, we do have a petal of inspiration to share with you, and I'm going to pull it up right now because I haven't. It's right here. Okay. And that is one of the best guides to how to be self-loving is to give ourselves the love that we often dream about receiving from others. And that was by Bell Hooks. So, yes, I'll repeat that because I stumbled. One of the best guides to how to be self-loving is to give ourselves the love we are often dreaming about receiving from others. Okay? So, like we said, got to start with self. That, to me, is the most healthiest form of independence, if you will.
Absolutely. So, starting with self. I love that.
Yay. Thank you all, and we will
see
you all next time.
Yes. Peace.